Well, hello everybody and happy Sunday. My name is Scott Pinyard. I am the head coach here at This Naked Mind, and I am live today, like I am pretty much every Sunday, to talk about some of the things I see going on in our programs, to talk about some ideas I have rolling around in my head. Happy Halloween, everybody. I almost did this in costume. I changed my mind at the last second. Maybe that was a bad idea, but I hope if you are trick or treating or doing anything fun like that, like parties or anything with little ones today, I hope you're having a good day. So, today I want to talk about resilience. Resilience. It's a word, it's a buzzword. You've probably heard it a lot recently. I want to go and give you some of my thoughts on that, including, by the way, how to be more resilient yourself. Hey, Portia, how are you? Day 10, alcohol free. Yes, that's awesome, Portia. So we're going to talk about resilience in a second, but first, I want to invite you to join us in the November 2021 live alcohol experiment. It is starting tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I just did the welcome live over there, telling people how it's going to go. So, the live alcohol experiment is 30 days of content, 30 days of information to help you learn and grow in your alcohol free lifestyle. It's where we all take a break from alcohol for 30 days and then reassess at the end, right? Where do we want to go? What do we want to do? How do we want to move forward, right? We talk about all of that. And you get to do it with daily content and daily live coaching in the group. So I want to ask you, I want to ask you, please to consider joining us. I think it would be a fantastic experience for any of you. If you want to find out more, head on over to taelive.com. The link is in the description. I just dropped it here in the comments as well. That's TAE Live. We kick off tomorrow. So the live alcohol experiment, your timing for the experiment is perfect. Check it out at taelive.com. Let me say hi to a few people. Maria, hello. Um, Maria says, I sailed past 12 months. Well, 365, 369. Um, my life is forever better and changed to you guys and thanks to you guys and the other health tools I've used. That's so awesome, Maria. I'm very excited. Allison asks, I fell off. How do I forgive myself? We are going to actually talk about an idea around that today, Allison. So I'm glad you're here. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Awesome. 200 stars. I don't know what that is, Lisa, but I love it. So thank you. That's the first time. I'm wondering if that's what that ding noise was. Anyway, exciting. Thank you for that. 30 days alcohol free, Joanne. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. All right. So I want to just dive in to the idea of resilience. So, like I said, this is a bit of a buzzword, right? There's a great book written about it. You hear people talk about resilience and stress resilience and all of this. And I want to kind of go through how that can be applied to a change journey, and in specific, change journey with alcohol. So, before I do, Oxford Languages defines resilience as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or in other words, toughness, right? And a lot of people ask me about resilience in this alcohol journey, right? Like how do I have more resilient? What does that actually mean? And what I'm about to say is true with alcohol or any other change that you're about to make, right? The conversation around resilience comes up a lot, and I think that a lot of times the idea of resilience is particularly that last word there in the definition is toughness, right? Just be tough. Now, toughness is a great quality, but I want to go into a little bit more of how you can actually create resilience for yourself outside of just willpower. And so, this is often a good question, right? Because the reality is that any sort of change journey we go on is not going to always be easy, right? Like there are going to be challenges. There are always speed bumps. And the idea of resilience is to get back up, right? Each time you're knocked off your path. And if you're anything like me, especially with this alcohol journey, boy, does that happen a lot of times. right? And so resilience is helpful because it means when you fall off, you get back up. And the thing that I think a lot of people miss about resilience is that ultimately, I don't think resilience is about being tough, right? It's not about more willpower. It's not about shaking off the pain. I think it's about something else. There's something else going on here, and that's what I wanted to talk about. And don't get me wrong, I think being tough is important, right? Being able to experiencing the challenges of any sort of a change journey is definitely a huge part of the process. But when you think about it, the toughness has to come from somewhere, right? Where does the toughness come from? What does that mean? Toughness is something that is generated by some sort of an emotion or some sort of a thought, right? So you can't just say like, oh, I'm going to be more tough. Like, yeah, that's great and that's awesome, but like, how? Right? Where does that toughness come from? Where does that energy or that desire to get back up and re-engage with enthusiasm come from? I'm going to talk about that in a second. I want to say hi to a few more people. I said hello to Joanne, Paula from Portugal. I'm super excited you're here. My wife is Portuguese. She loves, and we really want to go to Portugal. So anyway, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Jennifer, 18 days of the regular alcohol experiment. I then drank for the last 3 days, felt badly, but ready to start anew tomorrow. I'm looking forward to more interaction during this live AE. Yes. Well then, Jennifer, I would recommend definitely pay attention to what I'm about to say about resilience because it makes a huge, huge difference. Maria, alcohol has caused me to have no resilience in the end. Now I have tons. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Sarah says, anyone thinking about doing the live alcohol experiment should jump in. I joined one in January 2021, knowing nothing about it, and it has allowed me to believe in myself again and feel joy. It's about so much more than alcohol. Yes, Sarah, it so is about so much more than alcohol. Thank you for that endorsement. Hey, Tracy, how are you? Suzanne from France, day one tomorrow. Yes, awesome. That's so cool. So what I was saying is that, resilience is more than toughness, right? Toughness is something that you can cultivate, you can generate, but like, where does that come from, right? What's underneath? And, as usual, guys, you guys are getting these ideas as they're forming with me. So I want you to follow me. In order for me to kind of explain where I think and where personally resilience came from me, I want to talk about television. I want to talk about particularly one television show that I am a huge fan of, and some of you probably are too. That is this show called Ted Lasso, right? A lot of you are likely familiar with it. Very short synopsis is Ted Lasso is an American football coach who decides to go to England and become an English football coach, otherwise known as soccer here in the States. He knows nothing about the program. Anyway, this guy is amazing, right? He's so positive. He's so upbeat. And the thing that I wanted to talk about from that show today is this, like one of the first things he does when he goes into the locker room for this Premier League soccer team that he's coaching is he tapes up a sign, and the sign says, "Believe." Right. And it's become kind of a symbol of the show. And that, my friends, is what I actually think drives resilience. Belief, right? Belief that there is something better for you, right? Belief that you have the ability to change and grow, or belief that you can make things different in your own life. Now, before you like turn this off because you're like, all right, dude, just believe. Like, I understand you're not Tinkerbell. I get it. But there really is something to this. First, I want to make clear what I am not saying, right? I am not saying that belief will magically get you where you want to go. I'm not saying that belief will make the journey easy. I'm not saying that belief will be a cure-all for the roadblocks that you run into. What I am saying is this, if even a small, tiny part of you believes that you can make a change, you can leverage that to move forward. And by the way, I'm not talking about belief in like complete and total certainty that your life is going to be completely amazing and forever changed in just 3 weeks, right? I'll go into why that doesn't necessarily work, but even just a thought, even just a little whisper of a belief can do it, right? Because I want you to think for a second about what belief does, right? If you believe in something, and we'll go into how you can create belief in your own life in a moment. But if you really believe in something, then you're gonna have the toughness, right? You're gonna have the toughness to stand back up, right? When you get knocked down, you have to have a reason to stand back up. And that reason, sometimes we put our families out there and we put our careers and our futures and all of that stuff. But what I want to suggest that you do is have belief in yourself. That is going to give you ultimate resilience, because when you have belief in yourself, you can get knocked off the path and then you can say, you know what, I am going to get back up, right? When you have belief in yourself, then, even a massive derailment of whatever change process you're going through is going to allow you to then pop right back up, right? To actually be resilient. And many times it's really about what people choose to believe in, right? So a lot of times, and we talk about this in some of our programs like the Path and the Live Alcohol Experiment, we'll talk about visualization, right? And visualizing yourself at the very end of this change journey, right? When alcohol is not even a thought in your mind, like it doesn't even, you can go weeks and weeks without even thinking about it. And imagine what life is like, right? Imagine how it's going to feel. Imagine what work is going to be like. What's it going to be like being in your family, right? All of those things are great. And you can picture your entire alcohol-free life and all the good things that come into it. And that's a very important exercise. However, when you are starting this journey, it's one thing to imagine that, it's another altogether to believe in it. And so what I want to do is give you a little belief hack here, right? Something that you can use if you feel you need resilience, if you feel that you need that toughness, something that you can use that means that you won't have to try to make yourself believe into something you don't believe in, right? What if the belief that could help you was way smaller, right? What if it didn't seem impossible to you, right? Or what if instead of talking about the rest of your life, we talk about tonight or this hour, right? What do you think would change for you if you could believe that you can get to bed tonight without drinking, right? Here's the thing about belief. You can't will yourself to believe something. Yes, the big picture is very important, but the thing that drives you every day are those smaller beliefs, right? That belief that like, hey, I'm going to get through today. Or that belief of like, hey, I'm going to get through the next hour. And in those moments when we're knocked down, when we feel like the whole process is messed up, we're not really going to do well saying, I believe I can live the rest of my life alcohol free. That's not going to sound good, but you will be able to believe one of those smaller things, right? You will be able to say, you know what? I'm not going to drink for the next hour. That belief, that's the underpinning to toughness and resilience that I was talking about, right? And so if you find yourself in this position where you're like, man, I feel like I fell way off of the wagon here, right? Or I fell way hard, like I was doing great, and then you like just try to get a little bit of belief. That's going to give you that resilience, right? And instead of having to deal with the rest of your life when there's so many question marks, really focus on something you can believe in, and it literally doesn't matter. This is the good news, right? It literally doesn't matter if that belief is like, oh, I believe I can get to tomorrow, or that belief is like, oh, I can go a week, or if it's, oh, I can get to the next hour, right? Whatever that is, focus on that, because believing that you can do that, having the belief that yes, this thing is certain, it's going to make it so much easier to bounce back, right? Makes it so much easier to stand up. So let me give you an example of what this, might look like. Actually, before I do that, I think I have some more comments. I want to say hi to people, everyone else. Alexandra, hello from UK. If I'm honest, I'm beginning to get bored with alcohol. Oh man, I know that so well. That feeling, that's great. Thank you for that. It's an incredible awareness, Alexandra. That's awesome. Amy says, hi, Scott. I would say resilience starts with an acceptance of what is happening now. It starts with awareness. I love that. Yes, 100%. Paula says, so happy to hear that. Come to Portugal. It's amazing here, but no programs to get you off alcohol like over there, unfortunately. That may be true. That may be true. I still, someday we do want to see it. D says, your videos with Amy got me through the first 30 days. That's so awesome, D. I'm really happy to hear that. Kate says, I believe 2 years plus 1 day without alcohol. It's a belief system. So true. Daily, hourly belief. Marcia says, or Marita, I'm sorry, Marita says, morning in Melbourne on my 5th live alcohol experiment. I'm trying so hard to stay alcohol free. Looking forward to starting day 1 today. Really need to reset. Small steps have helped me. Good reminder. Awesome. That makes me happy. 3 years alcohol free last week for Kim. Congratulations, Kim. That is so fantastic. Maria says, yep, small steps, one choice at a time, 1 hour at a time. There's no way I would have believed where I am today if someone had told me, look, 15 years younger and 60 pounds lighter. It's unbelievable and a miracle. Exactly. I agree with that. Grace says hello. Hello, Grace. So I want to give you an example to kind of illustrate, right, what I'm talking about. So let's just say you're trying to quit drinking, right? And not everyone, by the way, in our programs is trying to quit for good, right? Like a lot of times people are just trying to take a break or trying to reset or trying to sort of reconsider where they're at, or maybe they're doing this and they're working toward moderation. So just to be clear, that's not like the ultimate goal, but let's say that's your goal, right? And you are getting started and it's day 1 and you're working through this process, right? You're seeing yourself change. You're seeing your thinking change. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to go 30 days alcohol free, right? That's what I'm going to do. And so you start. Right. And it's an incredible experience day 1 and day 2 and day 3 and day 4. And pretty soon you're at day 12 and then you hit a snag. Right. Something happens along the way. Something is a trigger for you. You feel stressed. You feel angry, whatever it might be. Those were 2 of my big ones. And you end up drinking. And before you know it, you're a couple of drinks in. So the question is, now what? Right now, this has happened, right? You've had this experience, you've gone this far. And this is where people will tell you that resilience comes in. And I totally agree with that, right? And what a lot of times people will mean is they'll say, well, just stand up and try again. Yeah, that's great. But, you know, hey, I've done this hundreds of times now. Right? Like me personally, when I was going through this, I did so many day 1s. There were so many times. There's so many times that I thought about it, so many times that I beat myself up. And so when you get knocked down like that, when you have what you would consider a success of 12 days and then you find yourself drinking, it is really hard in those moments to pick yourself back up. Here's where you can use the power of belief to keep you moving toward your goal. Right? So in this example, you've just done 10 days, right? You don't need to believe anything for your brain to understand it just went 12 days without alcohol. But what if you're feeling defeated, right? And you're feeling like, this just isn't worth it. Well, you just did 12 days. So can you believe that you could do another 10? Can you believe that you could do another 6, another 1 day? My guess is that you will be able to. And no matter what the goal is, and this is the key takeaway here, no matter what the goal is, if you can believe it and you start to go in that direction, you will literally retrain your brain. So you will rewire your brain to believe in yourself as opposed to doubt yourself. Right? And that's where so many of us end up. So you'll be able to rewire your brain to say, you know what? I did fall down, but look, I know I can do this long. I know I can do that long. That little bit of a belief, even if it isn't 12 days in this experience, even if it is just 1, even if it is just an hour, that's all it takes for you to bounce back. And the more you can imagine something and make it happen, the more you can start to trust yourself. And that is what builds resilience, right? Starting out, falling down, believing that you can, getting back up and doing it again. Maybe you fall down 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, right? It doesn't matter. Every time you do it, you are not only getting closer to your goal, but you're building that resilience, right? You're building that belief that like, yes, you know what? I can say to myself, I won't drink for the next hour. And that's going to make a huge difference. So here's the takeaway for today. When you feel like this journey is too hard, right? When you feel like you might not make it, take a moment and ask yourself this question, right? What is a goal I can believe in? And I am not kidding you when I say it is too you cannot shorten this too much, right? Maybe, and I talk to a lot of people who do this, like they've been thinking like, oh, I want to be alcohol free for the rest of my life. And while that may be a genuine desire, it's very difficult for us to get our heads around it, right? So when you find yourself knocked down, when you find yourself in need of resilience, ask yourself, what is a goal I can believe in? Right? Maybe it's a shorter time alcohol free, right? Maybe it is. Maybe it's saying like, look, I'm going to have a goal of 2 days, right? How do you feel about that? Maybe it's saying something like, hey, I'm going to show up every day in the live alcohol experiment, right? I am working toward this thing. You guys have heard me talk about that before, right? Maybe it's just saying, you know what? I'm going to keep reading that book. However you can frame it for yourself. One thing you can believe is take a moment and feel what it feels like to think that thought. So when you say to yourself, man, I don't know what happened last night, but I know that I'm going to go the next hour without drinking. I believe I can do that, right? How does it feel when you think that? Focus on that. And what is it like to believe you can do something, right? What does it feel like? That's the feeling that we're trying to cultivate. So if you can do that and then you go through that next hour, I want you to celebrate like hell. I want you to jump up, do a dance, be excited, because these are the things that help sort of rewire our subconscious brains, right? These are the things that are going to help rewire the way we think so that this idea of resilience becomes a built-in thing, as opposed to it taking the work that it might take at first. Over time, you start going, no, damn it, I can do this, right? And then you bounce right back up. But it's in those times when we are feeling, man, I really need resilience and I don't know how to do this. It's in those times that we really need to really be focusing on something we believe we can do. Because it's that simple act of belief that allows you to pop back up again. That gives you the underpinnings of that toughness and that grittiness that is resilience. So I hope that all makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and read some more comments, and I will invite you to please ask me some more questions while I get toward the end here. Amy says, being aware of my values has helped me stay connected to my personal resilience. I question my behavior and ask myself if it's getting me closer to my values or farther away. The knowledge I gain from this naked mind and my values and my personal experience helps me build my resilience skills. I love that, Amy. That's so, so good. And like, here's the thing, a lot of times with this idea of resilience, and I want to be very clear about something, by the way, like toughness and just bouncing back up without belief, that is a good thing, right? But what I'm addressing today is like, what do you do when you feel like you can't do that, right? What do you do when you feel like, I don't know if I can be resilient, right? And it's in those moments that really having something in focus that you can believe in, that you can believe, no, this was a temporary setback and I will get there. That's how you build that resilience. That's awesome, Amy, though. I love the idea of values leading us to resilience. I think it's fantastic. All right. Hello, Baton. Well, thank you, Baton. That's very nice of you. Guys, that's it for me today. I'm a little bit short, but that's okay. Oh, Maria commented too. Let's see. Maria said the rewiring the brain is key in the process. I fell down a lot. Me too, Maria. But eventually when the beliefs start changing and the desires start changing and then the positive experiences then become stronger and stronger and then the scales tip and the appeal of alcohol begins to diminish, new belief changes everything. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it, Maria. So that is it for me today, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know I came on a little bit earlier than I usually do. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Before I go, if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the live alcohol experiment. You can get more information on that over at taelive.com. We are starting tomorrow, so there is still time to join us. The live alcohol experiment is 30 days of content and coaching and an incredible community that'll really be able to help you move forward in your relationship with alcohol. So if you want to find out more about that, head on over to taelive.com. The link is in the description. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And I really am excited to see you guys again next week. Take care.